Hello, Jason. So tell people what's the best reason, in your opinion, about the Big Bend?
What's the best reason to see it? Or
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, the best reason to see it. Yeah, yeah.
sure. I just think I think we see so much content now, and that sometimes we get ahead of what the story is because we've seen things, you know? You know, on Law and Order, if the camera glazes on somebody in the first scene and they have a funny expression, they're probably going to come back in Act Three and have done something bad, you know? So the Big Band is truly singular in its tone and genre, and it's very human, but then mystical, and then it's really beautiful. And at the very least, you're going to see a part of the country that the majority of the world and Americans have never been to. And it's filmed beautifully. It's in far Texas, in the middle of nowhere. And I'm partial. I think you are too, because look, this is what you have this podcast and station for, because unique storytelling and independent films and new ways, even just the heart of how something like that is made comes across somehow, I think anyway. So it was definitely a labor of love, and you feel it through the storytelling as well as just the full impact. It's not going to be anything that you think it's going to be, is all I can tell you.
True, it truly develops. And tell me a little about your character.
Sure. So Corey, there's the prices, and it was based on the true event that happened with our writer director Brett Wagner and his close friend, where they went to that exact same house. Not the same things happened, but some of them did. And basically, the main thing is, without giving too much away, my wife and I, played by the excellent Virginia Call, have a secret about me that we don't want to tell anybody else. And you don't know until later into the story, much later, what the secret is, and they're struggling with it. Um, and then Corey is very concerned about how this will impact his family and all kinds of things. So, and they want to have a weekend with this other family and their kids. They all love each other, and that other family, which is David Sullivan and Erica Ash, they're having their own family dynamics, and so it's things happen. And when one of the kids gets lost in the middle of the desert, which actually happened in the Big Bend, and it's petrifying. Um, so yeah, there's a mystical element because if anybody knows, if you believe this, there's energy lines out in the desert, which you can actually feel sometimes. And there's a thing called the lights. I forget what they're actually called in Marfa, where they feature in the film, where you can, if you look out, you can see these kind of tingly lights. So that's another element that weaves into the whole thing. It's also
Very
funny.
interesting.
Like, I don't want to weigh anybody down. It's also funny.
Yeah, there is levity, and there's kids, and people like kids, I think,
Such the cutest
mostly.
kids ever.
Yeah. How would you sum up your experience of the show Ozark?
Oh God, it was one of the, it will definitely go down as one of the greatest gifts of my career. It was 2 seasons. Jason is an incredible person. I'd worked with him before in The Family Fang. I was like a Chris Walken in the flashbacks, and we got along. And the character was originally written different on the page, and then whatever. It came to be mine, which was fantastic. He was a tormented, wonderful character, difficult. And I'm a company person. I'm a community person. I come from the theater. It's part of the reason why I like doing independent film, because of the power of what we can make as a community. So to get to be on a great set like Ozark and to be with everybody and have a personal relationship with the entire crew, it really means a lot to me. And it was a pretty special one. Even like, the last day when I'm trying to keep my eye open, getting dragged down a river with my lungs punctured, like it was a very, very special one. They threw a funeral for me and surprised me. Everyone wore black on a Saturday when everyone was tired and had food, and it was hilarious. Hilarious.
That's amazing. Do you prefer revisiting a character for a while on a TV show or just getting it over with in a movie?
I mean, it's case by case, in the same way. Right now, I'm doing arcs on a few television shows, and I'm about to start a play on Monday. So, which is wonderful after the strike and the pandemic to finally be like over scheduled. So it depends. I think sometimes you set up the finish line and you just got to make it. I haven't ever been blessed to be on a series that goes, 2 seasons is the longest I've ever been. So I don't know what it's like to be on Grey's Anatomy or something like that. I'm open to it very much. But it's a different thing. I think that the challenge is obviously what's the character development going to be and how in tune are the showrunners interested in that development for that character or not, and the functionality of that character versus a movie like The Big Bend, where obviously you know what that time is, and it's tough because it's an independent film in the middle of the desert, and we're just like, okay, we got to figure out how to solve each thing, you know. It was hard. The shooting for the Big Ben was like it was a challenge because it's hard to imagine what it's like. Of course, no cell phone, no Wi-Fi, out in the desert, communicating with each other, a whole crew, even if it's I mean more than a shoestring, but like, you know, like 30 people or so, 25, 30 people. It's a lot to try to get coordinated when the communication doesn't work and then it rains and you can't get to each other or it's 122 degrees and somebody passes out. Like it was a lot. And yet, here's this beautiful film that also will be something I remember ever. That moment on the cliff, I will, you know, never say never, but standing on a cliff, debating your own life, taking your own life, getting to act that is one of the greatest gifts that I've ever gotten to do on film.
Beautiful. I have to wrap it up here, but I have one more question, and just say the name, or you could yield. That's fine. Who's the most fun to which celebrity is the most fun to act alongside?
Oh gosh, I can't. I can't. That's too dangerous. That's too dangerous. I'll just say, I'll just say that I happened to have a pretty unique experience working with Colin Farrell on Sugar. Uh,
Okay.
like that first scene, I was like, oh wow, I haven't had this kind of synergy before. And that was the most recent moment where I really had something
Okay, Colin
special.
Farrell, that's what we're going for. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, man.